little bit of spare time for yourself. I just noticed that you uploaded some pics about the numbers in China. I hope it was not so much work for you, so we will go through that a bit later. Yeah, as you already know, we're going to start with the agenda of today. So I'm going to share my screen. So you're already well known to the agenda. Today we will do a dive into your timeline regarding the project work. We will talk a bit about the Chinese consulting numbers in comparison to the German and global ones, and we will have a content repetition of the first session about consulting basics, and we will follow up on this. And afterwards at 2:30 German time, like 30 minutes before the official end, Chen, Sue, and I will do a one-on-one session to give you first guidance into the template creation for your project report. So for the others today at 2:30 Chinese time, 8:30, will be finished the class today. Okay, let's have a quick view on the schedule outlook. Next week we will have our session on Thursday as planned. The week after, because of a bank holiday that week, we will have again classes on Monday. And the week after, there was a session on Tuesday with two lessons, but we can cancel it because we have extended Monday lessons with 3 lessons. So we will be fine with our 56 lessons in total if we cancel the Tuesday. So it's only the Thursday. And the week after, the 2 weeks after, will be as planned as well. Or any questions regarding the schedule?
I have a personal question. I got an email from the previous aunt and told us the time for Anmeldung, sollen wir Anmeldung.
Which kind of Anmeldung?
Für die Klausur.
But you will not have a Klausur.
so we don't have to get into the system and.
You mean for the project work?
Yeah. I mean, for the project.
Yes. Actually, I have to clarify that I don't really know that. This is administrative stuff, which is usually handled by the coordinative team, but I will ask them. Yeah, if you need to do.
Yeah, because the system the system opened exactly today.
Ah, okay. Today.
Yes.
Okay, then it's kind of urgent. So I will give me 5 minutes. I will send an email and we will see if something comes back. And if not, I will call. So is there a time slot until tonight or a specific time? Do you know what you can
do? Until the end of July?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Maybe would you mind to forward me this email? Then it's probably a bit easier for me to check what's written there. And
okay, I send you right now.
Yeah, so I will check it immediately. So this is if it's urgent. Okay, let me check the email. I got it. Okay, so far as I understand, it is possible to assign for this kind of assessment from today on. It's not the deadline today. This is very important.
It's not the deadline today, but I want to ask, is that we should do?
Yeah. So we have a bit of time. So what I will do after our lesson today, I will send an email to the coordination team of the Hochschule, and I will ask them if there's anything to do from your side as you are participating in a class that requires a project work instead of in examen.
Yeah.
So I will give you an update until as soon as I have feedback. Okay?
Thanks.
So no worries for today. It's not that urgent. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's get back to the presentation. Or anything else from organizational perspective? Any others? Okay, that means with the dates we are fine. I think we have 5 appointments left after today. One will be especially it will be the one on the 23rd, I think, 23rd or 25th in week 26. This will be reserved for your presentation of the project work results. Yeah, and the others will be a combination, as always, of content review and repetition, and also with more input around the consulting topics. Okay, let's get to your project work. We agreed that you would finish your high-level timeline. So what did you do so far since last Thursday? What did you agree upon? Did you enter some due dates in the Trello board, or did you do it in another way, in an Excel sheet or whatever? What's your timeline right now?
Well, actually, I prepared to start the first part next week. I mean, the headline and introduction, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And but you didn't. So if so what we talked about last week is that there are different kind of tasks to do for your project work, and you have a timeline. So that means you have to submit your report until the 17th of June. That's in 3 weeks, and that means if we take a look on your project plan, there are a lot of to-dos, and what I recommend is that you add due dates to all of these tasks. so that you know when you have to, until when you have to do what. And did you do anything like that, or did you just started working on your project report?
I just do my part.
Okay, but this is also very important because if everybody is working on his or her part, what we discussed last week is that especially the theoretical fundamentals are basic for all of your other chapters, yeah, and so it's necessary that you align your tasks also in regards to the timeline. What I did to make it a bit easier for you was to set new columns, new what is it called, lists, where I entered the dates. It's always the Thursday, because usually we have a session on Thursday, and no, it's a Wednesday, sorry. And an idea was to move all these to-dos to a specific week until when it has to be finished. That means, for example, the theoretical fundamentals should be at least on a high level base done, let's say, until June. So you will have 2 more weeks until 10th and 17th to add the other contents and to have a basis where you can work on. Because if you don't align your tasks, I guess that you will have some difficulty to make one report out of it. Yeah, so to make a teamwork out of it. So maybe we'll take a look at these tasks. And what do you think? Let's just go through everything a task. Until when do you have to finish the introduction? You know, the introduction means the project mission, background, targets, in your own words, structure of the report. Do you need to do it in the beginning? Let's say until any idea? I think you cannot see my screen, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's better, it's easier.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I just repeat what I said because it will be more clear. What we did the last time was to split your report to do into the part A and part B, right? Part A is around everything around the consulting concept and the theoretical fundamentals. Part B is team until the 17th and so on. And maybe it makes it easier for you if you move these to-dos to a specific date. For example, let's say the introduction is something you do at the very end. That means until you submit the report, you don't have to write the introduction on the first day, right? Because you need to do the introduction and to write a summary. Maybe you need the other aspects and chapters already written. It's just an idea. You can also say, no, we want to finish it here, something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then let's get back to the theoretical fundamentals. As I said, I am very confident that this is the basic of your project report, and every chapter in the main body should relate somehow to the theoretical fundamentals. So until when do you want to finish? So will you be able to do it until the 3rd of June? That means next week, Wednesday, on a high-level basis? There's some chat before. Okay. So you should see my screen now. So can you all see my screen? Because Ray is writing. Okay, because of the bad network. Okay, so theoretical fundamentals as the basis of your report. Until when do you need it to be finished? You have to submit the project report on the 17th. Move it a bit here. Yeah. All chapters until June 17th. Okay, Ray, that means you will be able to send them it until, yeah, let's say this week. No, the 16th, I think. No, today is the 5th. No, 7th is right. It's Wednesday. Okay, so then thank you, Ray. Then let's see what you will do with the other task. 3.1, which steps should be taken to analyze the market? Zoe, what do you think until when your chapter should be ready? Because in the end, before you submit the project report until the 17th of June, I recommend that you all have the time to read the entire project report. What do you think? Do you want to finish all these, the main body tasks until June the 10th? So you will have 1 week left to do the formatting and also to do the project report part B, the reflection of the teamwork. What do you think? Does it sound realistic to you? As I don't receive any feedback, are you lost somehow? What's the issue at the moment?
I don't know what's wrong with all the girls.
Maybe so if you understand what I want to do right now, it's to set up your timeline. Maybe you just discuss it. If it's easier for you, you just do it in Chinese. I think it's important for you that you know until when every task has to be done, because the timeline is very tight. Yeah, 1, to 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks to submit the report. And you should know until when you should finish your every task. So maybe you just discovered and give me a feedback then.
你们没有人想说话吗？如果你们不说的话，反正老师就到时候直接按照老师的意思安排了。
Now we are talking about the whole main body or just the first chapter made by Zoe.
As you like. So we need a timeline for every task, of course. We can start with one, or you can decide that you have to finish every task until a specific date, as you like. We can go through it step by step, if it's easier for you. But there are also 2 tasks who are not, who don't have a responsible member. So maybe it's just an idea. Maybe you say, okay, these tasks that already have responsible members, we will finish until next week, and the other 2, for example, we will finish that week. It's just an idea, yeah. But you don't have to do it this way. The conclusion, for example. Is it a timeline that looks and then you still have another week to finish the other main body chapters, and as well the introduction and conclusion, for example. Does it sound possible to you?
Well, it seems makes sense, but probably whereas others, seems they don't want to talk.
Yes. It's still, I think it still looks like there's a lot to do, and this is true. There is a lot to do, but it's easier if you see until when you have to do. So just walk smaller steps. But
Yes.
of course, you have to start, and you have to be clear until when you have to finish everything. So then I would also suggest that you do all this project part B to-dos until the last week of June. So in the last week, yeah. Lessons learned. So. Presentation and the handout. So we will then go through it again. Okay, so what we now have is a new to-do list, and we do it on a weekly basis. So what we do is we talk every next session, as we did it before. We will talk about what's your progress, what did you do, could you hold the timeline, and what will be your next task. Sorry, there's a chat. I have a question, just very relevant to the RPA, or just talk about theories. Okay, question by Liang. It has something to do with the content of chapter number 2, the theoretical fundamentals. The question is if you should talk about theories in general or relevant to the RPA. I would, so it's your choice, it's your decision. Of course, theoretical fundamentals are usually a bit more general, but what you could do, for example, is to write something about general models and ideas around new market entry and market entry strategy. And you can also see if you find some general information about the RPA industry in general, if there's something that's also relevant for your main body, for the content of your main body. But usually in the chapter of theoretical fundamentals, you are more generic. But if you do a first handover to the RPA industry, it would be helpful, of course. But what you then do in chapter number 3, you will take a look on the and their issues and problems, and then you will consulting concept for them, and you will reach out to specific so the idea is why you are writing the chapter number 2 is that it's not only fantasy what you are recommending in chapter number 3. Yeah. So it's based on theories and models. That's the idea. And I think it would be helpful if you all, especially you at the moment responsible for number 3.1, 3.4, and 3.5, that you to achieve with the respective chapter, and maybe what basic theories and fundamentals, so you can requirements for Liang and Ray. So, did this answer help you with your question, Liang? Okay, thank you. Cool. So we will go through the entire project plan. So for you, after this lesson, it should be clear when you have to do what. So what I'm still not quite sure about is if you are really clear about your project mission and if you for the same goal. Yeah. And I think you should talk about that. What do you want to achieve with the project? We already did it. I want to support you, and we will go through it, and maybe you will change it. the basic for the report template, and you all should then decide where to store your documents. Maybe you can use these Trello board or also Slack. And Ray offered that you both would deliver the theoretical fundamentals until today. So let's say we have a bit more time until Wednesday. So if you need a bit more time, but maybe you can send them the first basic version. Until today or until May 27th, but the basics should be ready, so the others could. Is it clear so far? I will change the due date. Set up timeline. Okay. There's a chat question. Okay, thanks. Until next week, June 3rd, that means until next Wednesday, so we will be able to talk about your progress. You should be ready with your tasks, with your chapters number 3.1, 3.4, and 3.5. Clear so far? Okay. Yeah. So until June, this is what you have to discuss further together, but we can do that next week. Yeah. So at the moment, these are your to-dos, and I think you have quite enough to do. And with that, when you finish this, we can talk on the 4th of June. We can talk about your to-dos from next week on, and we will you will then decide who will be responsible for these tasks. Yeah? So you don't have to decide this today. We can do that next week. So at the moment, these to-dos are not that important to you. So focus on your to-dos and do what's necessary to finish your to-dos until next week. So because then you will have spare time and resources to focus on the other to-dos until June 10th and also the submission date on the 17th. Okay. Any questions at the moment? Do you know what you have to do?
Yeah, I know what I have to do.
And maybe it was just an impression I got that it's important for you to clarify your project mission and how you work together.
I gotta understand.
And maybe you should set up a call afterwards today or something like that, or tomorrow. I really would recommend that you talk together again.
Yeah, I feel that after this class we need another talk.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you can, so usually we would have classes on Thursdays. Maybe you can use that time slot on Thursday at 12:30, 18:30. Just a suggestion. Okay. So I think for today, we are fine with the project work. So with the time, I would say we just follow up on the self-study results, and after that we're going to do a small break. Okay. So the idea was to find some figures about the Chinese consulting market, and yeah, maybe we will just. I saw that there were some pictures added into Slack So Chen, you did it. Maybe you want to tell us, or I don't know, who wants to tell us a bit about the numbers that you uploaded the pictures? Maybe it's your turn.
Value of the Chinese consulting market is 2010, and before the time the last century, I didn't find that information.
Mm-hmm. So you only found the information after 2014 and 12, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So what you see is that there is a similar growth, or let's say there's a higher growth rate than in the how's it called, global market, for example. You can see there's a growth rate as well, but it's a bit less. And also on the German market, you see there's also a growth rate, but it's less in percentage. Yeah? We have here 14, 6.4, 7.0, 7, and 8. And here we have 7, 14, 14, and 12. So a double-digit growth, yeah, which we never reached in Germany. So it will be quite interesting what will happen in 2020 this year because of the global economic crisis. Yeah. And the other numbers, what's the difference? Total China ex Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. 2018, 5.2. These numbers seem to be quite similar, seem to be the same. And what about this? Can you tell a bit what the blue and the red column means? Because I don't understand that language.
Is the value of the Chinese consulting, and the red one is the size of the consulting market.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the size of the consulting market in which what's the so what is it, 1,903, or what is the is it in euro, in dollars, or what is it? You know that?
That means 100 million yuan.
Yuan. Okay. And this one was the blue one. I didn't understand it in the first.
The blue one is the value of the Chinese consulting market.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, but you also can see here that it's growing rapidly. And yeah, as I said, it will be very interesting to see what will happen next. So what we can see in general is that the development of the consulting market is worldwide, and in some countries the speed is a bit, the increasement each year is a bit bigger than in others, but that it's growing, it's almost constantly. What would be very interesting is, as I said it before lesson, that we don't exactly know which companies and which consulting products they included. What is management consulting in this graph, and what's of consulting, management consulting in this Statista graphic and also in this German graphic. Yeah. Sometimes they maybe exclude IT consulting, so on, so that we don't really know. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any questions or other ideas? Okay, then I suggest we're going to do a break for 10 minutes. So we're going to go on at 1:30 or 7:30 China. And we will then follow up on the repetition of the consulting basics. This will be done by Li and Liang, if I'm right. So then see you in 10 minutes.